You want to hear about a day when a so-called routine bank trip turned into a showdown you probably wouldn't believe if you didn't see it with your own eyes. Picture a 78-year-old Army vet named Sergeant Major Thomas Ashton, a guy who spent his whole life doing things by the book, walks into his neighborhood bank to deposit a government check. Not just any check, but one he'd fought to get for years. Retroactive disability pay, finally signed off after endless bureaucracy. You know that moment when you think life's finally about to throw you a bone, and then boom, Simone yanks the rug right out from under you? Yeah, that happened. So Thomas steps up to the window, all calm and collected, hands the check over with his VA ID, just like he's supposed to. The teller, a young woman named Jessica, all stiff in her pressed shirt, flashing that, trust me, I'm a professional, smile, barely glances at his documents before something shifts behind her eyes. She holds that check up to the light, scans it, types away, and then you can see a flicker of suspicion, like she's uncovered some wild conspiracy. She leans in, lowers her voice, and tells Thomas, "Sir, this check is unusual. The routing numbers don't look standard, and frankly, the paper feels off. I'm afraid I can't accept this." You ever have someone doubt your whole story because you don't fit the script they expect? That's what was happening. Thomas, who's been running supply lines through literal war zones, just stands there, trying to explain, trying to keep it civil. "Young lady, that's a direct Treasury disbursement for retroactive compensation. It's as real as it gets." But Jessica, locked into whatever bank policy she's memorized, feeds his check as hope, really straight into the shredder right there on the counter, like it's a grocery receipt. Can you imagine? Years of waiting, and in 10 seconds, it's confetti. Thomas just stands stunned. The line behind him goes silent, and suddenly, everyone's watching, nobody daring to say a word. Now, the branch manager, Mr. Henderson, shuffles over, already getting his "we follow protocol" speech ready, probably thinking this will all blow over. But Thomas got a look in his eye now, the kind you only get after decades of keeping your cool when everything's going wrong. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't cause a scene. He just thanks Jessica for demonstrating the bank's protocol and steps outside. That's the thing about guys like Thomas, they save their fire for when it counts. He sits on a bench outside, pulls out his old, battered cell phone, and dials a number most people would never believe he has a direct line to a 3-star general turned under secretary of the Treasury. Let me back up. SEC Thomas wasn't the type to name drop or pull rank, but he kept this number for emergencies, and today sure counted as one. He gets the undersecretary himself, John Harrison, a man who once depended on Thomas in the worst of times. Thomas lays out what happened: the check, the teller, the shredder, the whole humiliating show. Harrison goes dead silent for a moment, then erupts not at Thomas, but the absurdity of it all. "Don't move," he tells Thomas. "You're about to see some action." 5 minutes later, not 52 black sedans pull up in front of the bank. Out come 4 agents in suits, badges flashing. 2 walking like they own the place, and suddenly Jessica and Mr. Henderson are being questioned by federal agents right there in front of everyone. Agent Davies, leading the charge, lays it out plain: "We're conducting an emergency audit for the destruction of a Treasury check." You should have seen the color drain from Jessica's face, like she'd only just realized what she'd done. And Mr. Henderson, he's fumbling, sweating, promising retraining and policy reviews, but nobody's listening. Meanwhile, Thomas watches the whole thing through the glass, half in disbelief, half feeling that rare sense of justice actually happening in real time. The audit's brutal. Jessica admits she didn't even follow full protocol, didn't call a manager, didn't try to verify, just trusted her gut and the little power the bank window gave her. She gets escorted out, looking like she'd been sideswiped by a train. Mr. Henderson's future at that branch? Let's just say he's not updating his LinkedIn with oversight champion anytime soon. But here's where it gets even better. A bank's regional executive, a guy in a suit probably worth more than Thomas's car, comes running in, ignoring Thomas on the bench outside. He's there to do damage control, but it's too late. Thomas gets a call from Harrison again. "Tom, your replacement funds are being electronically transferred right now. All fees waived." The Secretary of the Treasury himself is watching this. You'll be made whole before sundown, and those responsible theory being held accountable. Thomas thanks him, genuinely moved. He's not a man who looks for handouts or sympathy, but hearing that the top brass actually cared enough to fix it well, that mattered. He sits there a while longer, watching the chaos inside the bank, realizing how fast the tables turned. For years, he'd battled invisible systems, always being told to wait, to prove himself, to be patient. And now, because a rookie teller shredded his dignity along with his check, the whole machinery of federal authority had come down, not just to make it right for him, but to remind everyone in that bank respect goes both ways. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's not the loudest voice or the fanciest title that gets things done. Sometimes it's the quiet, relentless ones, the folks who know who to call, who never gave up, who still believe that honor should mean something. Thomas gets his money, but he also gets something else. Say he gets to see that the system, broken as it is, can still work if you know where the levers are. And Jessica, who thought she was just doing her job, learns the hard way that not every old guy is what he seems and not every check is up for shredding just because you're scared of making a mistake. So here's the real question. What would you have done if you were in Thomas's shoes, or Jessica's, or even Henderson's? Is it really about the rules, or is it about the people they're supposed to protect? Let me know below, what does justice look like to you when the power balance suddenly flips? Because today, justice didn't just mean a check getting replaced. It meant the right people finally getting called out right there in the daylight. If you think accountability matters, if you believe that honoring our veterans isn't just lip service, then speak up, share your thoughts, your own stories, what you do differently. The comments are open. Let's see if we can make a little more noise where it counts.